Guruji Pranaam. Why are we scared of losing our identity? Unknowingly, many times we get restless due to this. Also, please explain Guruji how to identify ourself when we unconsciously act towards something in a way which we think at that point is correct or right very firmly, but it actually is coming from our ego consciousness.
Yeah. So, I think I remember I was talking about the ignorance is the fundamental cause. The fear that is rooted in ignorance, which is the very first klesha, as I mentioned yesterday, that was mentioned by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras. So he mentions that there are 5 kleshas, 5 obstructive patterns, that which are within us, that create this kind of a fear. And out of which he started talking about avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, klesha. Avidya is the ignorance. This is the fundamental cause. Asmita is ego. Raga is desire. Dvesha is hatred. Abhinivesha is what we call as clinging to the life, as if that's the truth. And these are
Looks like a Wi-Fi issue again. We will just wait. You're on mute, Guruji.
got
Yes, Guruji.
I got rebooted again. Let us see how it goes, how long it goes. Okay, and let's enjoy this play. So in fact, just the ego is the cause for all other 4 kleshas. All others which follow are just shadows of this ego, what I was mentioning, which was mentioned by in the sadhana pada, the second pada of the Raja Yoga as the 3rd sutra. Lack of self-awareness is the ego, is what we shall understand. We feel that we are because we don't know. We are in darkness. We have never met ourselves. We have never met ourselves. Just give me a minute. And you think you are without meeting yourself. So this creates all sorts of pains, sufferings. Ego, attraction towards things that are useless, repulsions, which is the other extreme of attraction, if I have to say about repulsion. Clinging to the life and the fear of death. You cling to life because you don't know what life is. If you knew, there would be no clinging. It's because you don't know we have been clinging about something. Because life is eternal, why should we cling at all? It is going on and it can never stop. You are unnecessarily troubling yourself by clinging. This is what most of the youth does unconsciously. Just look at like this. The life, it is as if a river that is flowing and you are trying to pushing the river towards the ocean when it is going by itself. You need not push. You will unnecessarily create a pain for yourself if you start pushing that which has already been flowing towards the ocean. You will think that you are a martyr because you are pushing the river and leading it towards the ocean. The river anyway is going by itself towards the ocean. Let's not disturb it. We need not push it. If you want to go to the ocean, you can just become part of the river and its flow. That's all the river will take us. But let's not try to help the river, that which has already been flowing towards the ocean. If you have been doing that, and we have been doing that, life is flowing by itself is what we need to understand. Nothing is really needed. What have you done to be born? Tell me. And what have you done to be here? Did you do anything? Did you try to push something for you to be here? For you to be born? What have you done to be alive? Is it something that you have done? If not, then why bother? Life is moving on its own. I beg the pardon. Foolish people create pains. That is the situation which is causing all these pains. Look at, we have some kind of a joke. Like once a rich man who was a great king was going somewhere in his chariot. He saw a poor villager, an old man by the side of the road who was carrying a big burden on his head. And the burden was too much. So the king, that rich man, felt compassion, and the rich man said to the poor old guy, "Hey, old man, you come here. Sit by my side in the chariot. Wherever you want, I will drop you." Now the old man went to the chariot, but he was still carrying his burden on his head, despite sitting in the chariot. And now this rich man said, "Hey, are you mad? Why don't you put your burden down? Whether you carry..." Now this man said, "I am on the chariot, and even that is too much of a burden for the chariot and the horses to pull. My burden will be too much. Thank you very much, but let me carry this burden on my head." This is what exactly you have been doing, despite a guru advises you. And he says it will be too much for the horses and the chariot. Whether you carry your burden on your head or you put it in the chariot, it is all the same to the horses. They have to carry all of it. Life is carrying by itself is what we need to know. So then why don't you leave your burdens to life? Why are you taking on your head? It's because you're clinging. And when you cling to the life, the fear of death arises. There is no death, and there is no fear of death in fact. Clinging to the life creates the fear of death, and the fear of death creates the death. Otherwise, there is no death and no fear. Isn't it so? Life is eternal. Nobody has ever died. Nobody can ever die, if I have to say. That which exists will exist. Has always been in existence. Cannot go out of existence, if I have to say. Nothing can go out of existence. Nothing can go out, nothing can come in, if I have to say. Existence is total. Everything remains. Mood swings, the forms change, names change, but the existence never changes. So this ego or ignorance, it is caused by lack of awareness. When we are being egoistic, attractions, repulsions, clinging to the life, and thereby fear of death. These are the 5 kleshas. These are the 5 kleshas. That which were profoundly mentioned in the Raja Yoga Sadhana. In the Sadhana Pada, the 2nd chapter of the Raja Yoga as the 3rd sutra. So we need to first become, aware of the surface phenomena. Greed, anger, hate. Then go deeper and you'll be able to feel the alternating phenomenon. Both are connected here if you have to look at. So now the question is, what identity are we scared of losing? Because we unconsciously identify with name, body, role, every kind of belief system. Like I am a father, I am a mother, I am a brother, I'm a teacher, I'm an IT professional, I'm an artist, I'm a spiritual teacher. Let me come to that also. I'm a great devotee. And also, we unconsciously identify ourselves with emotional reactions and stories. Like, I'm the one who was wronged. We always feel that, isn't it so? That is the reason we get agitated. Because I am the one who was wronged by the society, by the people around us. And we get into an agitation and we still support that agitation. We don't know the real art of getting out of these kinds of elusive functions of our existence. And then again, we unconsciously identify with even spiritual identities. Like, I am a guru, I am a yogi, I am a great devotee, I am a person who always speak the truth. What kind of a truth do we know to be talking like this? These are the ego anchors. When these are threatened, it feels like I am disappearing. And this fear is very intense, if you recognize, because the ego survives through what? Identity. It can only survive through identity. The all identities that we discussed. It fears a dissolution because it does not know what lies beyond that identity. It doesn't want to get lost from that identity. But if you really look at what lies beyond, fearing about, it is in fact freedom, liberation, a vastness like the skies. The truth. Am I audible? I got a pop-up that my internet connection is unstable.
It's good now, Guruji. Just for a second, it paused.
Okay. So, but what lies beyond these identities that we are always fearful of? It is definitely not death, is what we should. That is the reason why we are not able to get out of these identities. But it is only the freedom that is beyond these identities. It is the absolute vastness, like the skies, and the self, the real you, that always there, but that was masked. And this fear is very intense because the ego fears the unknown. You want to be into comfort zone, that which you have already been knowing, despite a suffering into the comfort zone. You do not want to go out of that comfort zone. But there is a soul which is the real you, the very existence of you, which longs for the infinite. Remember, your restlessness is not weakness. That is the reason, I say that this question is profound, though it might come out of certain restlessness. But this restlessness is not your weakness. This is a grace awakening. You are longing to go beyond the very form that which is tagged to the identity. So, how to know when a decision is coming from ego, the ahankara, versus the truth, the self? That's a very question that is followed in this entire statement, or the question that has been proposed by the Vamsi. This is very subtle question, if I have to say. How to know when a decision is coming from ego is what you have asked. Because the ego often, it masquerades as dharma, logic, or even compassion. But you need to understand the signs here. Signs of ego-based action we should recognize, even if it feels right. This is what we need to realize. Like a kind of rigidity in the body and mind. A rigid certainty is what we call. This is how we need to identify. This is only the right way. If you get into such kind of a conviction, remember that it is no more a right way. And, this is how you should know when a decision is coming from ego or from the truth. a subtle desire for a validation, a victory, or a moral superiority, or to prove yourself to the world around you, then it is coming from the ahankara. You feel disturbed when things don't go your way, that is coming from your ahankara. And also, if there is a thought that is often, carries a story behind, like I must correct someone, he is telling something wrong, she is telling something wrong, I must correct them, I must be strong, they should understand me. These are the stories that get created behind the thoughts, that which means that the decisions are coming from ego. Now we need to look at the truth, signs of self-based awareness that we need to look at, even in challenging actions. These are the signs of these are the signs, SIGNS, signs of self-based awareness is what you need to look at. When you are into self-based awareness, not ego-driven awareness or ego-driven consciousness, there will be a clarity and also softness, no inner friction. You are okay even if others do not agree or understand with whatever you say. Your action feels freeing, not self-righteous, that what you believe it to be something right. There is no craving for outcome or recognition. That is when the decisions come from the truth. And it comes from a deeper silence, almost like an intuition, not from the noise of the mind, that which is restless. And there is no calculation behind any decision that comes out from the truth, is what you need to understand. You have to keep checking yourself within your inner self. Before or after any strong reaction or decision, ask yourself, what am I trying to protect right now? A role, a belief, my image, or my control? Check yourself. If the answer points to something limited, to either your role or a belief of yours or an image of yours or your control, then remember that it is ego. If there is nothing to protect, only truth to serve, you are moving towards the truth. All that I tell you, you can write it down, even anybody. A small sadhana anyway, which we are planning going forward. But for this particular question, a certain sadhana that we can really get into. Just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes of silence. And out of those 10 minutes of silence, keep just watching your mind and breath. Just keep watching your mind. Just for 10 minutes, not more than that. That silence becomes your mirror. That silence becomes your mirror. Write down, after emotional moments, write what you felt. Then patterns start revealing themselves. And mantra japas, some of you have been doing certain mantra japas. These are not just for peace or not to get something by doing a japa to accomplish something, but to melt the ego. Repeating the divine name that replaces ego patterns with all kinds of surrenderness, which is nothing but shedding of the ego. And more importantly, this is important. We have 60 people, we are hardly here, 16 people. Like a living satsang is very important. Our mind does not easily get to settle, to sit in a satsang, to even listen, because the mind has always been into noises. You need to stay connected to Guru's teachings or your deepest self-inquiry. Let each mistake become a lesson. Ask within yourself before you react, am I serving truth or preserving, or am I trying to preserve my image? Am I reacting or responding from wisdom? These are the two questions that you need to ask yourself. So you shall understand that the ego acts out of fear. The self acts out of love. Unconditional love. The ego tries to hold identity The self simply is. That's all. You are not the one, remember, you are not the one who is lost in ego. That is the untruth. That is not your real existence. You are the one who is watching, questioning, and longing to be free. That witness is your true identity.